Welcome back to the He's Wrong, She's Right podcast, the only podcast that hasn't been diddled by Diddy yet. Where's the applause? So anyways, that's what we're going to talk about today. You know what I was just thinking as I was investigating, if you want to call it that, watching the Shannon, Sharpe, and Katt Williams thing, which apparently I saved a short version of it. I don't know why there's a short and a long version. There's a 2.5 hour version that I haven't fully watched. And then there's a 45-minute version that I did watch thinking it was the full thing.
So you watched the highlight reel?
Essentially, yeah. And I was kind of wondering why it seemed really weird and redundant. It was because over the span, they talked about some of the same things over and over again. And Katt and Shannon would say the same things. And I was like, is this on a loop or something? Anyways, doesn't matter. But what I was thinking about was, do you remember when Diddy was P. Diddy and before P. Diddy, he was Puff Daddy?
Vaguely.
I wonder if the rebranding and name change aligns with these like phases of things that he was doing.
Possibly.
You think so?
I mean, he's been paying off people for decades, so...
True. Yeah, so his charges are, I'm not even going to say, I'm going to say trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in diddling. So here's the crazy thing. All of this stuff from the past has resurfaced. Things like lyrics from songs,
right?
Which
for example, Bieber's.
There's a picture of him like holding him.
But I mean, Bieber's lyric was definitely alluding to the fact that he couldn't walk after being at a Diddy party.
I haven't heard that or read that or seen that yet.
And was under Diddy's care for like 48 hours thanks to his parents while he was a minor.
Wow. That's what you get for being a Disney kid, kids. He was a Disney kid, right?
No, we've already had this conversation. He was taken on by Usher, and Usher has now deleted all of his tweets because Usher, too, is owned by Diddy.
Gotcha. I did see
just
something.
Like over 700 dildos. Can I say dildos on here?
I thought it was more. I thought it was closer to 900. I thought it was like 890 or maybe it was 6.
It was like 700 and something have been found. And the theory is that all the rappers who are famous got them used on them.
Like if they were part of his, was it Bad Boy or whatever?
No, essentially like
his label.
I'm owning you. I'm taking control of your full body.
Are there 700 rappers?
No, but not everybody said yes, apparently.
Wasn't he associated with Jay-Z back in the day originally?
I believe so. There's lots of pictures of them together along with J-Lo.
So one of the things that came up or is resurfaced was an interview that he did on Conan O'Brien. And like, this is, somebody had to like record it on a VHS tape, or this is, it's from early on because it's not the greatest footage. I haven't watched it.
Was this one of the hundreds of videos that were in his possession?
No. It's an actual interview on Conan's talk show back in the day. And it was him talking about locking up women in his basement. Joking about it.
Wow.
So I'm curious how many people are combing through all of his old interviews to find these little snippets of him alluding to things that he was probably actually doing. Because, I mean, okay, maybe he wasn't doing it yet, but once you
he was definitely doing it the whole fucking time.
I'm giving a hypothetical here, right? Say you make the joke and nobody believes you. That might make you more brazen, and you might be like, oh, nobody thinks it's real. So if I do it in real life, nobody would believe it. So is this
like a serial killer saying, oh, don't worry, you can go on a date with me. I'm not a serial killer.
Any crime, if you think about it, because that's how this thing gets started. And remind me at a different point to talk about like drug trafficking and stuff like that.
Okay.
Because I have a theory that I think, and obviously I'm no expert in crime and law, and neither is the U.S. government because we fail at it, but just my theory, and maybe somebody else can rule it out. So anyways, going back to the Diddy part of it real quick. Anybody that commits a crime, low level, whatever, you go to the grocery store, you go to the gas station, you walk out with a pack of gum.
Right.
You go to the bar and you walk out and don't pay your tab.
Okay.
Some people develop this sense where, oh, I've done it once, I can get away with it. I've done it a handful of times, even if it was on accident. Some people get drunk enough that they just
An artificial sense of security.
Yeah. They just genuinely think, oh, they're my friends at the bar. You know, I have an open running tab, and realistically it was they walked out. They don't have security cameras and they don't really pay attention because they're, you know, the bartenders out there that'll pour just a little bit extra, even though they got the little floating thing in there that's supposed to pour perfect shots.
Okay.
So you develop like this relationship with somebody and you're like, oh, well, I can abuse this now because they don't care.
I'm pretty sure he was literally abusing people.
Right.
And that's why he was getting away with it, because they didn't want people to know that they got asked by, I'm just like alluding to, because I can't say the real words.
Well, we can bleep it out as long as I figure it out. We're trying a new thing. We're going to see how much better the videos perform.
By not saying bad words.
No, if I actually go through and censor it, if I actually edit it, go through and censor it or whatever. But so we'll see. But there's still a chance because ridiculous things keep getting flagged. And it's not just us. This is when I talk to the people at Google, this is a tangent real quick for the people that like the Tangent Express. Yeah.
Yay.
I talked to them and they said that they have been using a new tool internally Google has. They haven't announced this. That it's just an AI tool that goes through and reads the transcript, essentially, watches your video when people are like, I had a bot watch 80 hours of that. They didn't have it watch anything. It can't watch things. It reads the transcript or the script or whatever. So anyways, so it goes through and it determines tone. It determines context. It determines all of this.
Our tone is much angry.
No, it's the overall tone. Like, who are these people? What are they talking about? Is this actually comedy, or are they pretending to be comedic and that these are actually serious? Like, it tries to determine that. And clearly, as everybody who's dealt with AI knows, it's not perfect. For one, it doesn't know you and I as people, so it doesn't even understand what our humor would be on this show, let alone what it would be in real life. So it gets it wrong. And they're banking on the majority of it just never mattering, because the majority of content that gets uploaded to YouTube and anywhere else is just a shot in the dark anyways. There's more people uploading something just because they think, oh, maybe this will go viral, than there are people that are doing professional productions. I can't remember what the number is. It's like millions of years of videos uploaded like per second to YouTube. So you can imagine that that's impossible for humans to look at. Right. So it's letting it flag things automatically. It's letting it do this. It's letting it do that. But it doesn't have like the broader, bigger picture. So you have to continually reach out and talk to a human who has to go back in and tell the computer, hey, you got this wrong, make a tweak. But this is only going to continue to happen forever. It's happening on every social media platform. It always has. That's what the algorithm has been, right? It always has. So without understanding who you are in the context of things, it's going to guess and say, well, these people are talking about this topic and this topic is hot right now, and they might be doing it for monetary gain, or they might be doing it maliciously, or they might be doing it for political gain, whatever, it doesn't matter. But it just guesses, and then it assigns that value. Your social media platform right now, let's take Facebook, for example. Facebook is doing the same thing to everything that you post. This got brought to light a couple years ago where somebody accidentally, and I had seen this too, you were able to see the metadata that was assigned to pictures and images that you uploaded. So if you uploaded just say a picture of yourself, there's no other people in it, it identifies the background. Oh, there's trees, it's sunny, she's wearing a dress, she has boobs, she has hair, she has green eyes, her mouth is open or her teeth are showing, she's holding a cup, there's a label on the cup. All of this stuff is being identified and tagged and labeled. Everything that you post and talk about. So if you say, my favorite politician is X and here's why, boom, you are now pinned as political party X. And now everything that you post
And now our entire episode is going to be marked as political because you said it.
No. Google, YouTube. I'm educating people, okay?
On your Tangent Express.
Yeah. So,
and then also simultaneously bearing our video.
No.
Yes.
So because I'm gonna talk to our guy. We've got a guy.
After it's already flagged.
We've got a guy. No, I've already preemptively, because I had an email this morning that something was a thing from August 6th that's not even running anymore, was just removed. And I was like, I already manually removed it.
Okay.
Why? So yeah.
All right. Tell us more about Katt Williams and what he exposed Diddy over.
Well, he was talking about this Illuminati party, and the way that he said it as if it was like he didn't.
Hold on, time out. When did this video come out? Or
Earlier
interview?
Earlier this year.
Okay.
He just said straight, like, he wasn't like, it was like an Illuminati party. He said it was an Illuminati party. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about how like Ludacris and he were competing for a role, which turned out to be Fast and Furious movies.
Okay.
And how they were going to pay him, I think like $10 million per movie for 20 movies, or that was like the deal or something.
Okay. Could you imagine Katt Williams in Fast and Furious?
I couldn't imagine Ludacris at the time when Too Fast, Too Furious or whatever it was came out. Okay. He wasn't an actor at that point. He was still just this rapper.
What year did that come out?
When we were in high school, maybe middle school.
Okay, but wasn't Ludacris in Crash? And he did really good in that.
Crash.
Yeah, it was a really intense, dramatic movie. It was really good. If you haven't seen it, you definitely should.
Do we have it?
I don't know. It's got a bunch of famous people in it.
So the first
highlights race dynamics.
Something Snow, End of the Road, Snow Dogs, Turkey Hollow. Apparently this is just what came up on.
Right. So I'm just saying he definitely was not a nobody in the acting field.
When he was in Too Fast, Too Furious, I'm pretty sure he was.
No, I'm pretty sure Crash came out first.
Okay, well, IMDb is taking forever to load. So let me just go back here. Let's go more.
I don't know that for sure, but Eve, I didn't watch the Fast and Furious movies, but I did watch Crash.
He's in an animated movie called Lil Pimp. Crash came out in 2004.
Okay.
He was also in The Oasis, which looks like I'm just looking at the box art thumbnail, whatever. It looks like it's Dr. Dre and somebody else that I don't recognize. So Crash came out in 2004. Where's Too Fast, Too Furious?
It might have already been out.
Fast 6, Fast 5. Too Fast, Too Furious came out in 2003.
Okay, so they were back to back.
If I was smart, I would have noticed that these were in order. Mm-hmm. If you go to IMDb, they almost never are unless you actually go to the movie catalog and have them sorted by order. So I thought that this was just, what do they call it, based on relevance or whatever.
Right. Yeah, no, I understand.
So yeah, so Too Fast, he had one movie before that came out in 2001. That was is that even the Wash? What does that even say? It's a
wash.
weird.
I'm assuming like a car wash.
Sure. Okay.
That's what it looks like to me, at least.
So yeah, so he was in that in 2001, then Too Fast, Too Furious in 2003, then Crash in 2004, then Hustle and Flow in 2005, which that was like one of only two movies where Terrence Howard was like okay, and then bombed again. Did you ever watch Hustle and Flow?
I feel like I might have. I can't remember. It's like maybe at like a sleepover or something, and I fell asleep.
It was like like becoming a rapper or whatever, going through the process, living homeless and doing all this kind of stuff. Well, after that, he was in, or he might have been in other movies after that as well. But he played the character that Don Cheadle now plays in Marvel, and that was over a dispute because of the first Iron Man movie. He played the role that Don Cheadle now plays. That it just never happened. It was completely recast. And I mean, a lot of people know about it, but younger people don't know and they don't care because they just know Don Cheadle in that role. So anyways,
okay,
he wanted to be paid more than Robert Downey Jr. for subsequent movies. And they're like, no, we'll find somebody else.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyways, So back to Ludacris, Katt Williams,
Yeah. So
Illuminati.
So
let's get back to the subject.
Apparently, the Fast franchise is part of this.
Part of the Illuminati?
Yeah. And I don't know when the last one that I've seen was. I stopped watching that, like, probably around when, what's his face died?
Paul Walker?
Yeah. Because that's when they started really getting, everything was like, and I mean, this is with everything. This is how comic book movies are. It's all the same. They're always having to one up. Like, they went to space and now they're,
What?
Yeah, like three
Fast and Furious?
Yeah,
they
like
went
three
to
movies.
space?
Like 3 movies ago, Ludacris like built a rocket out of one of their cars and flew to space. And
oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
So everything is, ultra high tech, darker dark web, and darker dark web.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And the people that were good before were always bad, and the people that were bad before were always good. And now we're mixing teams and changing.
Is Vin Diesel still in them?
I'm pretty sure. So he had that whole dispute with The Rock. And
what dispute?
Apparently they hate each other. But The Rock at the time had a bigger brand than Vin Diesel. So they brought him in. And what's his name? Dude that always plays in like B-movie fight movies. The one where like they kidnap the car, Crank. He gets electrocuted. All those.
No idea.
He's in what is the movie with all of the action stars?
That could be literally any action movie.
The Expendables.
Okay.
He's in that. But anyway, so they brought them in and they did the spinoff Hobbs and Shaw, which like bombed.
I didn't watch any of these movies.
Okay.
It was going over my head.
Doesn't really matter. Well, anyways.
You're right. It doesn't matter.
The Rock, from what I read and saw, essentially was trying to like take over the franchise. And Vin Diesel was like, this is my thing. I've been here since day one. And they just...
It is his thing. It's the only thing keeping him going. It's probably the only thing he eats, breathes, and lives.
Probably. But he's not even a good actor. He's not...
Which is why that's the only thing that he's got going for him.
I liked the Chronicles of Riddick and the one before that or the one after that. I can't remember which order they came out. Not the last one, not Riddick, but there were 2. I've told you about the one scene and how I was like, this is exactly what an eclipse looks like. It was the planet that they were on.
Okay, cool. Anyways.
Okay, cool. Yeah. You think Paul Walker's like
rolling over in his grave saying this series should have died with me?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. But
so anyways, the Illuminati is pushing it to keep going. Is that what you're saying? Like, where are you going with this?
Yeah. That they control certain people and certain, whatever. So.
And apparently there are hundreds of videos of the things that they do to you in Diddy's possession.
Yeah. And a lot of these people, it's just like any other normal person story that you hear of where the victim doesn't want to have to relive their experience. So they're like, well, I don't want to push charges. You guys do it on your own. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of these people aren't going to want it to come out. They're going to want whatever happened to them sealed because they just want it to be over with. So it makes it hard to build a real case, which is why, they have to come up with all of these additional
other charges. Yeah.
So jumping back real quick before we come back to talking about Puff Daddy.
That's what you're going to call him?
Yeah, I'm going to call him Puff Daddy because that was the original name that he went by.
And that like died off by the mid 90s, right? Or like late 90s, something like that.
Yeah.
And then he went to P. Diddy. And then now he's just Diddy.
Yeah.
Diddler.
And then
definitely just Diddler.
And then people started using it as if it was his full middle name. So they would say Sean Diddy Combs.
No, just Diddler.
Like, people do the same thing with The Rock. They say Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Oh, yeah. Whatever.
So going back to talking about the crimes and drugs and all that stuff.
Okay.
I have a theory.
Okay. What's your theory, Andrew?
That rather than catching low-level criminals, finding out what they know, and trying to work up the chain, because they let them go. They're like, go back to what you do and keep informing us.
Keep informing us.
Just Just keep arresting the low-level people and keep them locked up. Then they won't have anybody to use.
That's not true. Everybody's replaceable.
Right. But eventually, they're going to run out of people. They're going to run out of people that are willing to traffic things. And
no, there's always money talks. That's the
and you keep arresting them. And you keep arresting them.
And they're just going to keep hiring and hiring and hiring.
I think if you keep arresting them, you're going to have a better chance. Not that our jail legal system, whatever, can support them, but just keep doing it.
No, because the charges would be so minor that they'd be out in like 3 to 6 months, maybe a year.
And then you arrest them again when they're on probation. They're in longer. And
yeah, it's just, I understand the long game and going for the short.
But they don't ever get the guy at the top. And when they do, it's decades later and they're living in their
and then
mansion
they'll get
in the middle
Epstein
of nowhere.
in their jail cell, so don't worry about it.
That's what people think is going to happen.
Right, totally.
He's been on sewer slide watch basically since day one.
Right.
Which makes you wonder if that's solitary confinement. So I would think if you had somebody high profile like that, you probably want them to not only be around the guards and you want cameras on them, not solitary confinement where they could do it without anybody seeing them or a guard can do it.
You just want them in a cell with a camera on them at all times.
So here's the problem with, you can view this however you want. When you have enough money and you have good attorneys, they can build all kinds of cases. Oh, he can't have a camera on him 24/7 because that's an invasion of his privacy and blah, blah, blah. Which could just be them shooting themselves in their own foot here. I don't know.
So you do it until somebody says no.
You just chain them to a wall.
That's a little medieval, Andrew.
As if prison or jail is...
Yeah, it's all antiquated, but nonetheless, I'm sure he will get what he deserves.
Talking about prison and jail real quick.
Oh boy.
Angry cops. We'll come back to Diddy here in a second. Well, it's related, okay?
What happened now?
Angry cops stumbled upon some information about a VFW in Colorado.
Okay.
This VFW, I can't remember what the number was, whatever, it doesn't really matter, was started up, where do you think? In a prison.
Okay.
The heads of this VFW in the prison, and the VFW endorses this, by the way.
Are they... I'm thinking two very different. They're either Hell's Angels or
Nope.
they're like skinheads.
Nope.
Okay, what?
They are the worst of the worst criminals and not affiliated with any gangs.
Oh God, what?
We're talking like serial killers. We're talking child diddlers.
What?
Yeah. We're talking...
And the VFW endorses this?
Yep. They said it provides them with the ability
to have a safe space to exchange their murder ideas?
To give back to their community and to fundraise for other veterans. And he was like, you're not rehabilitating these people. They're in for life. They're not ever getting out. So you've created
I'm lost on this one.
And who wants them to fundraise for them? They're not going to do any appearances.
Yeah, I'm totally lost on this one.
Yeah. It's a complete nutcase. He went through and talked about the 6 or 7 people that are all the command for this. Even the governor had endorsed it. The governor of Colorado endorsed this.
Well, we've already said on this podcast that Colorado is completely so carry on with your... Oh, whoops. Yep. More bleepage for you. I'm so sorry.
So yeah,
carry on with your fun times.
How anybody thinks that that's a good idea. How the VFW, how they could be so desperate for new members that they would do that while they trash all of the veterans in the space of influencer.
Your veteran with a sign
Yeah,
guy.
angry cops, their friends, veteran with a sign. Oh my gosh, Donut. Like all these guys that are major, they have millions and millions and millions of followers combined. And they're like, oh, we don't like that guy because this.
But they like serial killers and diddlers.
Yeah.
All right. So P. Diddy, if only you were a veteran, you could join this VFW.
Yeah.
Aw.
Every time I see the USA commercials with Gronk and now Sam Elliott's in them.
Oh, I'm not a veteran, but if I was renting a room from you, then I could have a USA
Yeah. Like
policy.
Gronk is a funny guy, but USA, come on, man. Like that's
A waste of money.
There was I think it was a Navy Federal commercial actually that I saw one time that was it was like they named a drink after somebody and this other guy was like, can I have a drink named? They were like at a coffee shop or something.
Okay.
And it was so alienating to non-veterans. I was like, why did this commercial even get made? It's really, really weird.
Okay. That was really vague, but
I can't. This person, or maybe it's a sandwich. I think it was a sandwich shop, and they called out the name, and she was like, "Oh, it's his name, and he's a veteran." He's like, "Can I have a sandwich made after me?" And they're like, "No."
okay.
Just why? Why did that commercial even get join Navy Federal? Why?
Okay,
Why?
Andrew.
Yeah.
Back to Katt Williams.
Back to Katt Williams
and Mr. Diddler.
So the stuff that he did talk about, a lot of it was about the comedians that were popular, not good, but popular around when we were growing up.
Wasn't Chappelle like the most popular?
He still is. He's still huge. He just doesn't have his show anymore.
I'm just saying, like, that's who I think of in that time frame.
Ironically, because I don't watch much stand-up, but I used to.
So did Katt Williams drop his name at all?
Chappelle's? No.
So
he specifically talked about the Friday movies and some of the lies that these other comedians had told on Shannon Sharpe's set. That was the precedent. Like he is like, I'm here because I want to talk about how everything that they said was completely fabricated.
Okay.
And
remember when people do come on, everybody has an agenda.
Well,
so
he tried to explain that away. Whether or not you agree or think he's successful or whatever is going to depend on if you like him more than the others or not. But that was one of the things.
I'm not biased in this at all.
No. I'm saying as a viewer,
take everything with a grain of salt.
I'm saying as a viewer, it's how you take Katt's interview is going to be based on whether or not you like the people that he talked about or if you like him more, right? Okay. And if you believe his story or if you believe their story, whatever, it doesn't matter. He had some compelling arguments.
Okay, which were?
That the character that he played in Friday, he wrote the script, worked with wardrobe, he did all this stuff.
Okay.
And then another comedian was like, that was supposed to be my part. And then Katt stole it from me. He's like, bitch, I wrote the character. What do you mean I stole it from you? It's from the ground up. It is me.
Okay, gotcha.
So
I never saw those movies, so I'm just taking
I don't know if they can be made today.
No, they definitely could not be.
I would rewatch them because I remember them being really funny. So, Shannon asked him a couple different times, why hasn't Terry Crews come up or said anything? Or why hasn't this? Why hasn't that? He's like, well, some of these people that you're asking, why haven't they come forward? They're the people that are like, dude, just let me do my job and go home.
Okay.
Right? They don't want to be part of the podcast circuit. They don't want to be part of these interviews on news. They don't want people asking them.
I do want to know what happened between Diddy and Mike Tyson, because there's an interview circulating where Mike Tyson like picks up Diddy's hand and moves it away from him because they were sitting next to each other on the couch. And it's like this clip that has been circulating for the last couple of months since. That
just sounds like Tyson being a man to me. I would do the same thing.
Yeah,
if you get too close to me, I'm going to make distance.
But now it's being looked at in other ways. Sure. Like he knew and he wanted to make sure everybody else knew that he wanted no part of it.
It could go both ways, but Occam's razor. In my mind, until something else comes out that says otherwise. It was because Tyson doesn't want people in his personal space, men or women. And he was just like, off.
All right. So did Katt Williams talk about the Kardashians at all?
He did.
Okay.
He talked about Kanye, and that was funny.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, Kanye is not a Kardashian. So I was curious
that's
about
how the Kardashians got brought up.
Okay. So please.
Shannon asked him what his opinion was of Kanye. And he's like, the way that he said it, and when you hear the way that he said it, you're like, he's right. He's like, why are we picking on somebody that we already knew was mentally handicapped?
Okay.
You're supposed to grade them on a curve. You already know that this guy is out there, but then you told him he was the best. And you told him everything that he touched was gold.
Okay.
And the media and the consumers made him feel like everything that he already believed and amplified it.
Right. He's a product of America.
But so now you've taken somebody who people had already said before he ever was famous that he probably has some mental handicaps and disabilities. This is a guy that was already weird before, and then you wonder why he's being weird now. Because he was always weird. He didn't change.
Okay.
You're just not looking at the whole spec. You think, okay, what was it, a car crash or whatever, where he had his mouth sewn shut or whatever that whole thing was?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't remember. It was a whole thing. He has like a song about it. I remember from when we were in middle school or high school.
Okay.
So anyways, he was always weird, whatever. And then Katt brought up how the exact way that he said it on Shannon's show, and which it wasn't bleeped, was that she was a whore. Married a whore, made his entire family about marrying a whore. And he's like, that's not me saying that, this or that. He goes, he knew what she was and wanted to marry her for that.
Okay.
And that's how the Kardashians got brought up into it. But
I was asking about the business dynamic between Mama Kardashian and Diddy.
So I think in the extended cut, there's more of that because he does start talking about Henry Weinstein and how Henry, or is that his name, Henry Weinstein, Max, whatever. Aren't there two? I don't know. I don't know these people's names that well. I just know I've heard people talk about them.
Okay.
It's like the movie producer, whatever.
Harry.
Okay. So apparently he had approached him and some other people and was like, I'll suck your or whatever. And he's like, no. So he had been canceled because he didn't want to bend the knee to these weirdos, sycophants, whatever you want to call them. And he's like, whatever, I'm doing my own thing. I'm successful without you guys. I don't need whatever this is. And he talked about how 2024 was going to be when a lot of the stuff was going to come to light, which makes me wonder. So one of the things that he did say in the short version was that he kind of became like a confidant for people, and they'd be like, dude, this happened. People would approach him and tell him this information. He's like, I didn't seek it out, but they came to me and started telling me this stuff. So then I just was like, man, I'll compensate you for some of this information. So he has like this wealth of knowledge of all of these people. And it reminded me of a certain somebody who was always telling me stuff. I was like, why? You know who I'm talking about. Yeah. It almost feels like a double-edged sword in some ways. In some ways, it's like, oh, you're setting me up for failure because you potentially are making me complicit because you're telling me. And if I don't say something, but if I don't have enough information, there's not enough weight. And now I'm screwed for not being able to put a case together, help somebody put a case. So it's this weird kind of situation. So he kind of became more or less a data broker of these Hollywood weirdo secrets. So it makes me wonder if he's helping. The clip that I saw didn't say anything about it, but I wonder if he is. If he has enough information, or if it's just if there's enough publicly available. I'm sure they had to have interviewed him at least since then, because this came out way before the raids even did. It did.
I think he's definitely a witness.
Shannon Sharpe. I want to know the exact date. It came out 8 months ago, so like January.
And that sounds similar time. It was like March, April when the raids happened.
Probably. I don't know.
Right.
I remember it
I'm
being
pretty
earlier
sure
this year.
he's going to be a witness.
Yeah. But he was even talking about Bernie Mac. He's the one that's dead now, right? Mm-hmm. They were talking about how when he left Kings of Comedy, they tried to replace him with Katt. Apparently they were dragging his name and stuff. And he's like, no. That guy's funny. You guys aren't. You're trashing him. I don't want to be part of your little crew. I didn't care about Katt. I also didn't hate. Like, I'm not going to go to a movie because he's in it. But if he's in it, he's probably going to make me laugh. So one way or the other, I don't really care. Mm-hmm. The other guys, Cedric the Entertainer, everything else, everything that he said was basically true. Like the shows that they've had on TV, they all flopped. Mm-hmm. You know, I might have watched an episode or two of something, but it's not for me, or I don't like it, or it's not funny, or whatever the case may be. I'm not going out of my way to subscribe to a service to watch something that their content was on. I wouldn't either for Katt Williams, to be clear. Like, I'm not going to go get a subscription to whatever to watch his comedy or whatever.
Okay.
So, but the way that he talked about it was like, these guys have always been flops, but they have this group that all work together, which like Adam Sandler does too. All of these people have their group of friends that always work together. And he was like, I didn't want any part of that because I didn't think they were funny, and people don't think that they're funny. Everything they do organically flops. And then they talk about how great they are, and they're not.
Okay.
So yeah, I would love to see what all comes of this. But then the news,
I will be shocked if any of the videos actually get released, like truly released, because we're still waiting on Epstein footage, and that list is still hidden because
I don't know,
powerful names.
A certain presidential candidate says that he's going to release it if he's elected.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I actually see it.
Yeah.
Just like it, I don't believe we're actually going to see anything true come out of this.
So I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I will say that I think there are people out there that are invested in this financially that want to troll the FBI. There are a lot of people out there that have had their hacking networks and things like that they've been bouncing around. They've been finding new ways to financially benefit from trolling the FBI.
I think the only reason it would truly come out is if the list is truly only rappers and actors, because that's not important enough. Whereas with Epstein, it's political.
I think both. I think there's people out there that are trying to find this information, and they're going to sell it to the highest bidder. Whether the highest bidder is going to actually release it
or just keep it in their back pocket so that way they own. What
a lot of these hackers and stuff do when they get their information, or if they have, they come through with some sort of oh my gosh, I can't even think. Lock out your computer, whatever. I'm completely blanking on terminology today. So, ransomware. So let's say if you don't pay us within X amount of days, we're going to expose all this information. Sometimes people will call the bluff and they don't actually have anything. Sometimes they'll pay it and they don't actually delete it and they expose. So you're playing a game where without some sort of proof, you're not actually going to be able to do anything with it. But I think that the people that are on those two lists are high enough profile that they're going to be a high value target, and there are people actively trying to get their hands on it. That's not to say it's going to come out in 2024 or 2025. The case might be already completely wrapped up. There's a lot of times that these cases happen and then the files are sealed. Somebody goes to jail, prison, whatever, but then the files are sealed and you're just like, well, they got a bag off the street, but they're never going to tell us what actually happened. That stuff is what these people are going to go after. So it might get released in 10 years when nobody cares, whatever, who knows. But I have a feeling it is going to come out. I have a very high level of confidence that both
I have
will
a
come
very
out.
low level of confidence that any justice will be served.
Some of the biggest hacks and data breaches that have happened in this country and in the world have happened from 13 and 14-year-olds. You don't think a sophisticated group can get their hands on it? If 13 and 14-year-olds can... I watched a video the other day. This is all real, too. The kid was just prosecuted and released in like January, February.
Okay.
Like house arrest for 2 years and then like 18 years of supervised probation.
Damn.
For millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars of hacks and breaches and stuff.
Okay.
He just isn't allowed to. It's like a movie. He's not allowed to touch a computer, but you know he is. You have to this day and age, right? They have to have special software installed and all this stuff. Anyways,
Okay.
the FBI sat on this kid for almost 5 years because they had to prosecute him as an adult. They let him continue to commit crimes. He hosted the biggest hacking website in the world when he was 14 years old.
Wow.
Brokering deals, middlemaning stuff in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
How did his parents not notice what he was
They
doing?
lived in like a trailer park.
What the?
And he didn't act like he had any money. Yeah.
Mind blown right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, you never know what's happening behind closed doors.
Smart. No friends, on the spectrum. Smart enough to know some things, but dumb enough to not get fully away with it. You know, like becoming conscious of operational security too late. Using the same accounts and emails or things that are similar enough that they can tie them back eventually. Things like that. So, yeah, I fully 100% think that if a 13, 14-year-old can social engineer, call the Pope as if he's a political figure in the United States, trick the Pope into really thinking it's him, and then laughing at him and recording the phone call, I'm sure somebody can get these files.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Straight up, they called this kid social engineered, got a senator's information, cloned his SIM card, and called the Pope as the senator.
Okay.
And then laughed at him on the phone.
So random.
It's one of those things where just all these stupid DOD hacks that have been happening lately. These kids want recognition for what they've done. And these other people on the forums, you have two different kinds of people that don't believe you, right? You have the kind of people that genuinely don't believe you. And then you have the kind of people that want you to believe that they don't believe you so that you give them the information. Prove it.
Okay.
And those are the people that cause problems. You get these kids that hack DOD, Department of the Army, whatever. They get these diagrams of, upcoming variations of tanks and stuff. And they're like, oh, I have all the new stuff and I can prove that I am who I am. And then they post it on a video game forum while they're still in the Army.
Yeah, you've talked about this like 3 times on the podcast.
Yeah.
You're beating a dead horse at this point.
But my point is, it's easy enough for stupid people that aren't even sophisticated to do this. You know for a fact that people that are sophisticated can't.
Okay. I will pay you $100 if the true list is made public of Diddy's
Do you have a timeline or just in our
victims.
lifetime?
In the next, well, you said maybe not in the next year or 2, so I'll say in the next 3 years.
Okay.
A true and accurate list.
Set a calendar reminder
No, I'll remember it.
for September 22nd. Is that what today is? 22nd? September 22nd, 2027.
Okay. Check back.
Come back. You're going to remember that specific date in 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody in the comments, put it in your calendar and remind us too. Well, on that note, do you think Diddy's guilty?
Yes.
Okay. So do
He's
I.
been guilty.
All right. That's it for us. We forgot to tell you to like, share, subscribe, join, follow, click the links, do all that stuff.
Do all that stuff.
It's down in the description. We are everywhere that can be anywhere, except for like Russia and China's sites. I don't care about them. We actually have had an influx of Chinese people listening to the podcast on Spotify. Whoever you are,
Okay.
go away. I'll talk about you, but I don't want you to listen. Anyways,
Okay.
we will catch you in the next one. Goodbye.
Goodbye.